So as Anthony mentioned, I've done some research on dreaming. He mentioned my dissertation, but it actually, my story starts long before that. Um, when I was 21 years old, I started studying yoga a little bit and learning about Buddhism. And one night, I went to sleep and I had a dream where I was shot between the eyes and died. And I thought, that's it. I'm probably dead. But I woke up and I knew something was different. So I started to explore. And I had some pretty incredible experiences thereafter, most of them in nature, like out in nature, sitting underneath a tree, sitting by the ocean, listening really deeply. Because it occurred to me, even then, that there really wasn't much I could tell the universe. That this trip was about listening, about taking in as much as I could. And along the way, I started to record my dreams on a regular basis. By regular basis, I mean every night for many years. So I'm now about 15 years into that, maybe a little more. I don't write down every dream that I have anymore, though there was a time where I did. I got to get some sleep sometimes. And what I learned was, and this again might sound cliche, but I encourage you to have your own experiences to see for yourself, that there isn't that much separating our dreaming world, our dreaming life, from our waking life. The issue is how we perceive these realms, how we perceive these realities. Ultimately, what we see in our world is a reflection of ourselves. And sometimes it's a reflection, a kind of what we might call a nearsighted reflection. It's what we see in our immediacy, this thing, same kind of stuff we see, day in and day out. We go to work, we have our family, our friends, we go to these parties, we do the same general kinds of things. And sometimes we get a glimpse of something much greater. And that's also ourselves. The difference is that in those moments where we see, touch, taste, infinity, we've opened ourselves up. We've, come to recognize that who we are on our day-to-day is just a story that we're repeating about ourselves. And we listen really deeply. And so what I found was, while we're awake, due in large part to our physical body, the inertia of our bodies, and the inertia of time, the way that the earth moves. Things are moving kind of slowly. You plant something in the ground, it doesn't just pop up immediately, right? So it's gravity. I mean, you could call it what you want. There's an inertia here. But when we're able to put our bodies into a very deep state of relaxation, sleep being the epitome of that, we allow our consciousness space to travel, space to expand, space to contract, space to explore, space to do just about anything. It's a realm of pure imagination. So what we're looking to do is to figure out how we decondition ourselves from telling the same stories about ourselves in our waking life and in our dreaming life, so that our imagination is limitless. Does that make sense? Right? So how do we do that? Well, while we're awake, we re-enchant our world. It's very easy for us to get into mundane patterns. And I'm not saying that your life is mundane, right? And what you're doing isn't meaningful. But if we get up every day and we do the same routine and we don't stop to smell the roses, life just kind of flies by, right? And the world feels sometimes like a fun, cool place and sometimes like a kind of not so fun place, right? And we feel like we're at the mercy of all these powers. And this is very physical reality stuff I'm talking about now, politics, right? All that stuff. And we're just kind of going through life. Anybody ever feel like that? So what we have to do is break that cycle. And remember that this reality, our physical reality, is equally dreamlike. Equally dreamlike. And if we all bought into that in a deep experiential way, we would start to see miracles. We'd see the miracle in everything. And we'd also start to see things that literally blow us away, right? And some of us have had experiences like that, though usually they come, in deep meditation or on psychedelics or when you're dancing for hours and hours, right? My guess is that a lot of us have had some taste of that at some point, right? Maybe through childbirth. I mean, they can come in the most unexpected moments. But what we need to do is break the cycle. So one way to do that is to practice deep relaxation. Bring our bodies down to very, very relaxed states. Release that inertia, let go of that, and it starts to liberate our energy. It starts to free up consciousness in and as our body. Yeah? So practice deep relaxation. And the other thing we need to learn to do, or a thing anyway, is to listen very deeply, as if we're in the presence of the divine in every moment. That everyone we meet, every time you look in someone's eyes, you're seeing God. And as we re-enchant our waking life, our dreams will follow suit. They'll also become enchanted. And because our imagination is roaming free, those miracles will start to appear. Lucid dreaming is a dream where you know that you're in a dream. Has anybody ever had a lucid dream before? A dream where they know that they're in a dream? Yeah. So lucid dreams are not all golden, right? We have this fascination culturally that this is, this incredibly mystical, magical place, right? Our imagination is free. For some people, lucid dreaming is really terrifying, right? And for some of us, lucid dreaming is actually catalyzed because we're terrified. That if we carry a lot of tension, trauma in our body, if we feel fear, we have a hard time falling into a deep sleep and we stay hypervigilant, right? And those dreams are not necessarily relaxing. You might know that you're in a dream and you're still having the same nightmare that you have, all other times. So there's a few different ways to find our way in. I'm going to talk really just about one. I suggest that if you're interested in having more lucid dreams, you can search online for different techniques. There are all sorts of them. Everything from reminding yourself that you're dreaming, like in this moment, right? Ask yourself the question, am I dreaming right now? There's all kinds of practices you can do. The one I will drop is if you wake up a few hours before the end of your night of sleep, after 5, 6 hours, and hang out for 30, 45 minutes, do some meditation practice, right? You're much more liable to have a lucid dream as you fall back asleep because you've brought back some conscious awareness, right? It has to do with changing up cycles in your brain and things like that. But that's not really the issue. I once had a lucid dream where a voice said to me, lucid dreaming is a trap. And that was a real, that was an important moment for me because I was trying to cultivate these states of consciousness only to find out, to be told by someone or something that I really didn't need to try to cultivate other states of consciousness. Right? That was just as much of an attachment as anything else. What I needed to learn to do was to yield, to get out of the way, right? To stop trying to be more conscious, to be more spiritual, to get higher off of my dreams. I needed to be humble. And that's what I suggest you do if you want to embark on this path. And again, the reason we call it the path to freedom, I like to call it the path to freedom, is because of what's possible. That recognition of ourselves as infinite beings, beyond time, beyond space, beyond any notion of I, that I am doing anything. It's more like surfing. Yeah? When you're perfectly in balance, there's no friction with the world. You feel like you're being carried. So how do we do that, right? You can try and hack your dreams through all the lucid dreaming techniques, right, which you can search for online. That will take you so far. The real question is, well, what do you do once you actually become lucid? How do you stay? How do you get the most out of that experience? And I think that it's the same answer, same solution, same wisdom as what we're supposed to do here. We need to feel into the universe and offer love. Offer the best of ourselves. Right? Emotionally, but also physically. It should be the underlying intention behind everything that we do. It's that we're doing it from a place of goodness, that we're here to help each other. Let your actions and your thoughts come into alignment with the intention of love, of compassion. That your life here is a gift. We need to let that gift flow through us so that everything we do is gift. The more we can do that, the more the seas begin to part. The more opportunities will find us, the more the world responds, right? The more the divine recognizes us, really sees us in our contribution. Doesn't mean there won't be hardships, but that's the way. I call that the path of expansion, right? That we're giving ourselves to the world. But there's also the path of contraction. The path of contraction is a turning inward, focusing the light inward, particularly into the spots where we don't feel like we're giving our best. The parts inside of us, right? Those little voices that just kind of blow it off. Like, oh, I'll be loving, 23 hours a day, and like that is that 1 hour where I just want to be an asshole, right? Those are the spots that are still in shadow, the spots where we are not yet in love with life, in love with ourselves. Those places are like scars. In the Sanskrit tradition, they literally call them imprints, right? Yogic traditions. They're things that we pick up through life. We accumulate them, and they stifle our progress. Sometimes we pick them up from our ancestors. It's not just things that we've done, not just things that have happened to us, but stuff that we're carrying in our lineage. Ultimately, you could eradicate all of your own blockages, imprints, negative karma, if you will. And then there's still the blockages and imprints and negativity of the whole world to deal with. So it's kind of a never-ending path, but that's the path. So on the one hand, we give what we can without fear that we're going to be depleted, that we'll run out. It's not our energy, it's energy. We become a vessel for the universe. That's the path of expansion. And the path of contraction are those places inside where we're unable to give, where we're still afraid, where we're still angry, where we're still sad. We turn our awareness on those places and we let them rock. We touch into them as much as we feel safe. This isn't necessarily an easy process. It requires community, support, all of us knowing that we're in it together, that we're walking the path together, that we're fighting the good fight, that we're brave enough to sit with our own pain and let ourselves shed tears, let ourselves ache, let ourselves hurt, let ourselves grieve, not just try and cheer ourselves up and go out and have a beer, but to sit in the discomfort with the knowing, with the intention that at its root is love. That love is there, underlying it all. So I invite you, we only have a few moments left, to take a trip down one path or the other. See how you're feeling in this moment. Do you want to offer love to the world, to yourself, generate love inside? And if you're not sure how to do that, you can imagine someone or something that you love. I think of my smiling dog, right? He's not alive anymore, but if I imagine him, it just lights me up. And let yourself be that beacon. Or if you know you're holding on to something, if you know where your tender spots are, welcome that. Feel into your pain. Take your mental finger and put it on the pulse. And feel what it's like to be tender. Both paths lead to the same place. And you can't go very far on one without encountering the other. And as you work on this practice, this path of expansion and path of contraction, you'll naturally become more lucid, more clear. You'll see the brightness in the world, in each other. We'll re-enchant our reality because we're being real with one another. You will find yourself in lucid dreams. You will find yourself in mystical states of being, and you won't bat an eye. It will neither over amaze you or underwhelm you, because you'll be humbled before God, just listening. So to be a great dreamer, live your life as if it's a dream. Pay attention to your dreams while you're asleep. It's as important a part of your life as is this. Stay humble. Let yourself feel deeply. And sooner or later, the veil will lift, the lights will turn on, and the path to freedom will unfold before you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Pass it off, I guess. No, not at all.
Ah, nearly forgot. So, quick plug here. I'm about to publish my first book. It's called The Light Travelers, and it's about my decade-long mystical journey, traveling around the world, traveling outwardly, traveling inwardly, exploring dreams, all these things that we just spoke about. It's a story, and there's a Kickstarter for it, which has about 2 weeks left. So if you're interested in contributing and pre-ordering the book, it would really help. There's all kinds of other rewards and stuff like that. So you can just come and find me. I'll be kicking it around here. And the other thing that I do is direct a school called Evolutionary Education. We do different kinds of teacher trainings, dreaming trainings, relaxation trainings, yoga psychology trainings. Our next one is coming up soon, just a week from now, actually, and we still have some spots, so if you're interested in that, you can come and ask me about that too, and I'll take your emails and whatever. And finally, I helped co-produce an event in the fall called Halloween. Anybody go to Halloween? Yeah, a few people. So it's pretty fun. And we're working on another one for this coming fall, probably November 16th. It's going to have a different name because it's not Halloween anymore. But I think it's going to be cool. I hope you all show up. Same kind of momentum. Everybody here is in this together. And I think there's a beautiful community with a lot of potential here. But it's up to us to really keep throwing logs on the fire, So, cool. Thank you.